Remember the early information from the Pokemon Gigaleak that said something about a Splatoon-like game and a real-time Pokemon battler and maybe even a Pokemon MMO? Well, apparently it was all the same game, and it's codename Rodeo, which has maybe not been scrapped and is currently being called Synapse? Okay, we have some crazy Pokemon League stuff to talk about, and now we're actually getting into like the future of potential new upcoming Pokemon League stuff, which is what a lot of people would hope for from something like the Giga League when we have no real Pokemon news to go off of. If you enjoy the video, like, comment, subscribe, share. Let's find things out, because like, yeah, the hacker mixed things up. Rodeo is the spin-off we shared, but it was canceled. However, the hacker mentioned that a new game was being developed by Game Freak Ilka. So it's also the Game Freak Ilka game, a multiplayer game that was Splatoon inspired that was before Rodeo leaked. Rodeo docs explicitly mention the Splatoon inspiration, so potentially Rodeo has been reborn into Synapse, restarted development, or the hacker mixed things up. Who knows what's going on, because we just have tons of stuff that just got extracted from Game Freak, and we're still trying to figure it out, and it's going to take a very long time. But that's it. That's interesting. Like, these are internal documents. They're like, hey, here's a screenshot from Splatoon. This is kind of what we want to do by putting berries into some kind of paint gun and then using that to, like, soothe Pokemon or put some kind of effect on it. Okay, people are complaining about the quote-unquote cut features from Pokemon X and Y, but then we have, like, this kind of going into Pokemon Legends Arceus, because it seems like Game Freak, they come up with an idea or a gameplay concept, and then they move it to a game where it should belong or something. So yeah, they were like, yo, let's make this kind of game, then Legends Arceus happened. Or at least an early implementation of, like, Pokemon boss battles in real time by just throwing the bags at the boss instead of dealing damage, because hurting Pokemon is the thing we can't have, apparently. So, new Pokemon game leaked, Rodeo. This seems to be the multiplayer game we reported a few days ago. It's an online co-op Pokemon battling game. So yeah, when you hear, you know, like, Pokemon, like a dedicated Pokemon battling game, you want that in Revolution 2, but it wasn't. Also, I saw, like, one Cope comment that had me believing, where they were like, wait, but what if they just, like, what if it's just a misinterpretation and it's actually just, like, the hub area from Splatoon into Pokemon Battle Revolution? And that, I knew it was wrong, but I chose to believe. But yeah, now it's actually this. So we have, like, concept art and concepts about it and how it works. Oh, a Poke Ride. So the game revolves around ride Pokemon. While you ride Pokemon, you throw Pokeballs of other Pokemon to attack. So, like, yeah, you send out your Pokemon while you're riding on a Pokemon. So I guess this is card games on motorcycles. And then those Pokemon do effects in battle for you, and then you can use that to weaken boss Pokemon and stuff like that. The concept art goes hard, because it's like, yeah, you got a girl riding a Garchomp. Of course crazy things are going to happen in the Pokemon world, and then guns in a Pokemon game. But when we actually get to the gameplay, it looks not great. It's actually crazy that Palworld made the better Pokemon game while this was in development and nobody knew. Does that have anything for, like, retaliation, and that's why Nintendo's doing the lawsuit? I mean, the copyright claim or the trademark is valid because it was trademark features. That's also why things go to court. That's why lawyers exist, to interpret the law and then have a judge hand down a ruling. Did Pokemon make something that was enforceable? If they didn't, no problem with Palworld. If they did, that's just copyright protection, because you actually need to be able to protect businesses and their creations. Did Pocket Pair deliberately infringe on Nintendo and Game Freak? No. Like, I don't think anyone knew that patent existed or how it would be implemented or used in court. Do I think it was retaliatory? Like, do I think it was, like, hard, oh, Pokemon is punishing Palworld for their success or something? No, I think it's like, you actually have to defend your copyright or you lose it, because that's copyright law. So now we're in, like, a legal mess. And then Pokemon with guns actually can't be Pokemon with guns, and you need some kind of, like, berry painting to put an effect on a Pokemon or something. And that's also why, like, Pokemon Legends Arceus was always doomed to be shit, because you can't have a good Pokemon survival crafting game with the current state of Pokemon. We can see with Generation 5 and Pokemon Legends Arceus, Game Freak is just pandering to the vocal minority of Pokemon fans, which is not a good strategy because you're just pandering to the weirdos by making very babied, dumbed down children's games that are super shallow. Pokemon are terrifying creatures, and I'm so sad that Cleavor is sad. I wish Cleavor wasn't sad. Let's throw some balm at it so it's not sad anymore. I want to ride my Garchomp, but I don't want my Garchomp to hurt people, so I'm gonna put berries in a paint can so we can all be friends, and then he'll be friends with me. I will say the trainer designs are looking pretty good though, and then we can see the gameplay, and this is what I mean, where it's just like, wow, Palworld did it better because Game Freak is incapable of actually like pushing outside of main series Pokemon. Like, this is the weirdness about the Pokemon community to me, that they'll defend Pokemon Legends with their life as a spin-off open world game when it's objectively neither of those things, and then hate Pokemon Scarlet and Violet when Game Freak does Pokemon best. They want Game Freak to branch out, but after like hard focusing on Pokemon for over the last 25 years, they're only really good at doing Pokemon. And I think that's what they should keep to, where it's like, no, we don't need Monster Hunter Pokemon. We just need, like, a main series Pokemon game with survival crafting that doesn't need to have anything extra about, like, real-time Pokemon battles or any other mechanics come in. Yeah, Pokeride is cool, and this is, like, super awesome, Lord Garchomp. Surfing the Sandshark is pretty dank, and there's also, like, the mixed lore between this and Garchomp just straight flying through the air. I'll take either. Also, the ride Pokemon get in there and fight, which also got me feeling like, yo, this is like Palworld-y, where you mount up on your pal and then you like shoot things at it, or your pal can directly attack. That's cool. And then we can see calling in Pokemon and having them do attacks. Okay. So yeah, it's that. It's you catch some of the Pokemon, they do effects, they make it nice for you. Hey, here's Geodude, a rock-type Pokemon, putting up some kind of shield. Like, that's neat. I like this idea. But I would rather have Pokemon Battle Revolution 2 or Pokemon Quest 2. The main objective of the game is to defeat and ride rampaging Pokemon. I am so upset we got Pokemon Legends Arceus instead of the proper Generation 4 open world remake. Like, all we needed was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but as Generation 4 remakes in an open world Sinnoh where you could do like the gyms or the exploration in any order. Game Freak working on rampaging Pokemon and more like overworld interaction led to the garbage, like led to us getting like half of this, but also babied and dumbed down and not taking any risks. And then Pokemon Legends Arceus happened. Like, there's literally nothing to reward Pokemon Legends for by having the worst game. And also, it's not a friendship. I get on the car. Now we're friends. Oh my god, we're still friends now. He was scary, but now he's not scary. But yeah, Pokemon Legends Arceus has the worst gameplay loop, a fanfic story for babies, and even like all the action elements are weak as it gets. So what happened in this game, we don't know. It's been in development since at least 2019, longer than any recent main series game. No information about the current status. However, the hacker mentioned a new game with Synapse, so that's where the confusion comes in. We have Pokemon spin-off codenames, so I mean, if Pixelpar and Ku weren't frauds, we could have actually, like, figured out the real codenames inside the Pokemon games, but they aren't leakers or insiders. Yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing, that now we just have that kind of inside information when it comes to Game Freak. And then with this, it's so weird because I am the most positive, the most supportive influencer in Pokemon when it comes to Game Freak. Everyone else doing the Game Freak is lazy. I only dislike 2 series of Pokemon games. Generation 5, so Black and White and Black and White 2, and Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it's also looking like Pokemon Legends ZA, because that's bad Game Freak. When Game Freak gets down that trail of not trusting themselves and trying to pander to the idiot, toxic part of the Pokemon community, or trying to dumb it down and not respect the older fans that have all grown out of Pokemon that you need to try to bring back in, which is what we saw in Pokemon X and Y. People that stopped playing Pokemon came back for Generation 6. Pokemon Let's Go is the perfect example of Game Freak trusting themselves and being Game Freak. And also, it's no coincidence that that is the last Pokemon game Masuda directed. And then he got, like, pushed elsewhere in the Pokemon company. But then Brilliant Diamond Shine Pearl. Brilliant Diamond Shine Pearl is great, and it also goes back to Pokemon. I think it needed a bit more quality of life to hold up, but they weren't trying to make Brilliant Diamond Shine Pearl like the VGC game. If they did, then maybe things could have been different. But also, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, any complaints about that are because of the existence of Pokemon Legends Arceus taking away from Generation 4 remake potential. So Generation 4 remakes were never allowed to be the Heart Gold and Soul Silver of Diamond and Pearl, which sucks. And then going back to Pokemon Let's Go, like, we just needed Pokemon Let's Go Johto. We just needed Game Freak focusing on Pokemon, focusing on themselves, and then delivering the ultimate Pokemon experience like we had with Pokemon Let's Go. And there's room for the gimmicks, like the new catching system that we had inside of Pokemon Let's Go, and you can still have an incredibly successful Pokemon game. And then when we get bad games like Pokemon Legends Arceus and Generation 5, we can see in the interviews there was a distrust of the established Pokemon fanbase. That's why Generation 5 was a soft reboot of Pokemon by not having any original Pokemon, because it's like, hey, our original fans are growing up, they're probably not going to play Pokemon anymore, so we need to rebrand for this younger generation with shorter attention span and less desire to complete games or dedicate time into doing anything. Game Freak honestly is super based for predicting how weak millennials and zoomers would become even before like social media and smartphones really took off. But, yeah, like, this isn't it. Because Game Freak has, like, lost its way in a ways. But then at the same time, like, Pokemon Let's Go, second best Pokemon games. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Sword and Shield with DLC. Very good games as well. But then they make objectively bad games like Pokemon Legends Arceus. And then they ruin other games like Pokemon Legends ZA. Why don't we just have Z version? Why don't we have the complete main series remake of Generation 6 with Southern Kalos and all those other features, and just make better Pokemon X and Y that everyone wanted that we never got? Instead, we're stuck in Lumiose and we don't get to explore Kalos. What the fuck? That's lost. That's wrong. That should have been scrapped, and that should be something we only find out in leaks. The entire Legends series, or the idea of Legends ZA, instead of getting the best possible Pokemon games like Pokemon Let's Go Johto, Battle Revolution 2, or a proper Generation 4 remake, even Pokemon Quest 2 getting localized from China, we have like all this weird stuff that then gets beaten by Palworld, and it's just so unfortunate when Game Freak is like not trusting themselves in the audience and then makes terrible weird projects every once in a while. It should just be so easy for them to print money, and yet they refuse to because Nintendo is allergic to money. So there we go, guys. I hope you all enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.